Welcome back. Here we are to talk about JavaScript and work on our string library. And in the last couple videos, we solved the first 3 of the challenges, and now we're on challenge number 4. Challenge number 4 is to create a function called remove extra spaces. And what the remove extra spaces function is going to do is it's going to take a string, for example, something like this, and it should remove all the spaces from the beginning of the string and the end of the string. So all those spaces go, okay? And then if there's any spaces in the middle of the string, it'll replace all those spaces with a single space, okay? Just like one space here. So you can see this would be our output. There's no spaces at the beginning or the end, and there's only one space here in the middle where we had 3 or 4 spaces here, okay? So you can stop there, and there's a lot of different solutions for this, and you can stop the video now and give your own solution a try. And then you can watch my solution or skip ahead to the next problem if you've got this one covered. Okay, so if you want to review your answer against what I'm going to do here, or check your work, or if you're not sure how to proceed, then you can follow the solution here. So the solution I'm going to present is kind of a more general programming solution. There's a few different ways to solve this one, some that are very specific to manipulating strings. I'm going to give kind of a more general programming solution. And the idea is this. We're going to use string trim to remove the spaces at the beginning and the end. Okay? So string trim, that's what it does. It just removes all the spaces at the beginning and end of a string. Okay? Next, we'll use string split to split our string on the space, and then that'll give us an array of characters, right? So each character here will be a separate element in the array. When it comes to the spaces here, what's going to happen is we'll have an empty string for each of these space characters that are in the middle here. And so what we'll do is we'll use filter to remove the empty strings, and then we'll use join to join the string back together again on the space, okay? So let's give it a try. So I'm going to go get my my code here, and maybe this one I'll solve it in the terminal, right? So we'll just solve it in the terminal here in VS Code, and you can do this in a REPL, or you can do whatever environment, use whatever environment you want. So what I've done here is I've opened up the terminal here. So I chose new terminal. You can do Control tilde, right? And oh yeah, there's my terminal there. And if I want to run this index.js file, I can say node index.js, and then it'll just run that file. And nothing happened here because there was no output, because my file doesn't output anything, right? So let's give it a try. I'm going to put a comment here, challenge number 4, okay? And let's break it up into parts, and then we'll put them together into a function. So for the first part here, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a sample string that we can use. So I'm going to put my string here, and then maybe I'll even just copy this sample out of the problem. Okay. Okay, so there's our string that we're going to work with. And next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to trim that string. So I'm going to say trimmed, and I'll say string, my sample is my string, and then I'll say string trim. And then just for fun, let's console log that. There we go, right? And if I'll save this, make sure I save my file. And then once the file is, you can see a little dot there, like if I make a change to the file, you can see there's a little dot. That tells you that this file has not been saved. Command S, and then the dot goes away. Okay, so let's see what happens in the console. So it says hello world, and you can see that I've used string trim, and it's removed the spaces at the beginning and end of the string. Okay, you can use Command K to clear the terminal if you want. Okay, so now that we've used string trim to remove the spaces at the beginning and end, let's split our string into characters. So I'm going to split on the space, like this. And when you do split, it's going to remove this character, right? So it'll find all these characters and remove them, but then make an array, and every item before and after that character will be an element in the array. So let's see what we get here for characters, right? So I'll paste that in my console log, and then actually, you know, maybe we could even do this. Why don't we just, we'll log them both, right? So I'll test my code here, and you can see that I've got, oops, I forgot to save. Let's save and do that one more time. Okay, so it says, you know, hello world. I removed the spaces at the beginning and end. And then what I did is I split my string on the space. And actually I split the sample string here so you can see that everywhere there was a space, it just gives me an empty string, right? And then here where there was a space in front, it just goes to, you know, between the two spaces and gives me all the stuff that was there, right? And there was nothing between these two spaces, right? So it gives me an empty string. So actually, you know what we want to do is we want to actually split the trimmed string. So let's give that a try, right? Oh, there we go. So that looks a lot better. So now what we need to do is we need to remove the 3 empty spaces here, okay? So what we'll do is we'll filtered. I'm going to just make it you know, a variable called filtered to say that that was my filtered array. And then I'm going to take the characters array and use array filter. So array filter is a function that acts on an array, in our case the chars array or characters array, and it's going to return a brand new array, okay? And the new array that it returns over here, filtered, is going to be a subset of the original array. So it might have some or none, or, you know, a partial set of what was inside the original array. Filter takes a function. So I'll write an arrow function in here. That's the parameter as a callback. And this callback, it takes one of the characters from this array as the first parameter. So I'll put char here. So char for character, right? Okay. And what you do is you return what the callback does is it needs to return true if you want to keep that character, and false if you don't want to keep that character. So I want to keep all of these characters, but I don't want to keep these characters, right? So the idea here is I want to say let's, and then if I take away the curly brackets, this is an implied return, okay? So it's implying that we're going to return something here. And actually I can even shorten this a little bit more since I only have one parameter. I don't need the parentheses. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We're going to return true if we want to keep the character, and false if we don't. So I want to say character does not equal the empty string. So if the character does not, and actually I'm using a font so it kind of draws this a little bit differently there, just so you know. Essentially I'm writing this exclamation point equal equal. So this means not equal to, okay? Does not equal the empty string. So if character does not equal the empty string, then that's true, and we include it in the array over here. So let's take a look at the results here. So let's console log the filtered array, and maybe I'll clear that because we're logging everything anyway. Okay, so here was my array beforehand, and then here I've got the array, and these elements are missing. So now the last step is I just need to put these two strings together with a space to solve the problem. So our last step here is going to be const joined equals the filtered array dot join, and the join method takes all the elements in an array and puts them together into a single string. And you can put a separator here, and the separator I want to use is a space. So I should start with this, and when it joins them together I want to put a space here. Okay, so let's put console log joined, and then see what it looks like in our console here. Oops. Hey, wait a minute. Let me do that. Let me clear that and do that one more time. Oh wait, did I make a mistake here? What does it say here? It says why is this thing scrolling? Let me fix that, right? Okay. Oh, filtered. Oh, filterer. I must have misspelled something. Oh, filterer. It should have been filtered D. Yeah, there we go, right? So spelling error, my problem. Let's fix that. Okay, so let's try it one more time. Wait, oh, I forgot to save. Let's see. So I make those same mistakes too. Let's see. Let's clear it and do it one more time. Oh, there we go. So here's our final string output right there. So that looks pretty good. So now that we've got the problem solved in the console, let's try and make a function out of this. So what we'll do is we'll type function. Let's say remove extra spaces. And we're going to take a string as input and we'll return a string. So I think I'm going to cut all this code here. And this sample right here is going to be our string. So we can delete that because it's going to be this guy, or the str variable. And so we'll trim this. We'll take the trimmed one. And actually, we're just going to return the joined string. So I think we can just replace this right here with return. Okay, great. So that looks pretty good. Let's give it a test. So maybe we'll call console log. And what we'll do is we'll call remove extra spaces. And we'll pass in a string. So I'll put a bunch of spaces at the beginning and say foo bar, and maybe I'll add some extra spaces in the middle, and then maybe I'll get rid of or add some extra spaces at the end there. Maybe I'll just add a whole bunch of space, right? And then let's give it a test. So I'll open up the console here and run our code again. Hey, that looks like it's working, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that that's helpful to you, and that would be the answer, or one of the answers, one of the potential answers for challenge number 4. And again, you could actually condense this onto fewer lines. I kind of did each line as its own step, right? So that each one of these was a step in solving the problem.